took me a while to figure out to make the button green here, so we're practiced, right, Jeff? Look at the camera. Well, I just wanted to thank you, Mark, and thank the board and the organization for the opportunity. And if you know me a little bit, you know I like to share a story once in a while. So I'm going to tell a little story, and it may turn into some comments that help us say farewell and wish everyone the best. It was in 2002, I had my first campaign for the state Senate. And this relates to a Farmers Union person as well. And we were doing a meet and greet at Don's Drive-In in Rugby, North Dakota. And I go to the meet and greet with Arlo Schmidt and Lucille Loftusness, my running mates. And after we get done with our spiels, a lady walked up to me that was intent on meeting me, I think, that day and hearing everyone there. And she handed me a little slip of paper. And I still got that piece of paper today, and it's a little piece of Irish poetry. The woman was Mildred Ingebo, who worked for Farmers Union. And she gave me a little piece of poetry that I hung on to for 18 years and just thought about it a week or two ago when Mildred passed. So you can always use a little Irish poetry. By a fellow named Oliver Goldsmith, and it goes like this. Ill fares the land to hastening ills of prey, where wealth accumulates and men decay. Princes and lords may flourish or may fade. A breath can make them, as a breath has made. But a bold peasantry, their country's pride, when once destroyed, can never be supplied. So within those few couplets of Irish poetry, there's some things about Farmers Union. One, Mildred Ingebo tracked me down to help educate me. That's the base of the triangle, right? You don't have to be a young person to be educated. You can do it all your life long. We talked about legislation on the other side of the triangle because I was there at a meet and greet to talk about legislation that would advance the needs of rural folks and farmers and ranchers, right? And finally, it's about cooperation also. The poem was part of something called The Deserted Village, and the story went that the farms were being destroyed to create a wealthy man's garden, was kind of how the story went. And they talk about peasantry. We wouldn't want to consider ourselves peasantry, but we are not peasantry because of cooperation. Cooperation has brought us prosperity. It has kept wealth in the countryside and not just with the princes and lords, right? So cooperatives return the wealth to the people, which I think is something that Oliver Goldsmith would have agreed with. So when I think about cooperation, it's a central tenet of why I was glad to have served with North Dakota Farmers Union, that we work together to advance family farm and ranch agriculture. And something else that I think about when I think about cooperation, I've always said, and I think Farmers Union agrees with it too, that I'd rather have my neighbors than to have my neighbor's land. And I think that makes us different than a lot of folks, right? We appreciate community. Community is what cooperation is all about. Community is important to our organization. It's important to our insurance company and our agents. Community is important to our restaurants that we are proud to be part owners of. So think about how important our neighbors are, and we see that every day in every one of our towns and neighborhoods. And finally, you know, besides thinking about neighbors, I want us to think about the fact that despite all our accomplishments, I think this was Paul Harvey that said this, despite all our accomplishments, we owe our existence to a 6-inch layer of topsoil and the fact that it rains. Sometimes it rains too much, sometimes it rains too little, and 6 inches would be a lot of topsoil in Towner, actually. So remember that what we do in legislation, what we do in cooperation and education revolves around actually keeping people on the land to care for that 6 inches of topsoil. Maybe we find some avenues to help us with this rain and this climate that we're working on. We talked about that today with Senator Heitkamp. And finally, just to put things in a little more positive note, ill fares the land. There's a lot of ills out there, right? Market concentration and manipulation. These are the hastening ills that prey upon us. Trade disruptions and the weather. I'd like to say that we can handle those ills. I know this board of directors can. Congratulations to our new member of the board of directors. And rather than ill fares the land, I would say long live the land. when we, family farmers and ranchers, are upon it. And that would be not an Irish poem, but maybe my Norwegian poem. The last thing is, there's only 2 years, but you get to know folks, right? And I've had, life's been interesting, right? And we all get to do things that are fun and interesting, and I've gotten to, you know, whether it's in politics or public or private life or agriculture, I've gotten to meet folks everywhere from farmhouse to the White House, right? And once I was on a helicopter going to an oil platform in the North Sea, and I thought I was maybe living the secret life of Walter Mitty, you know? But in all those people I've met, and I've said this many times, when you meet a lot of people in life, you realize there's folks who are friendly, and then there's people who are your friends. And this board of directors, these are our friends. Friends are the folks you count on when the chips are down. When you need them, they come. And Farmers Union is friends. And thank you for being my friend. And in the words of Tiny Tim, God bless us, everyone. Thank you.